It all started with a paint job, yeah. I know how silly that sounds now, looking back. But at the time, it was just another day, just another bold decision from my wife, Jordan. She'd always had that kind of energy, the walk into room and own it kind. So when she rolled up with her Tesla freshly wrapped in this unapologetic, hot pink finish, I figured it was classic Jordan. Flashy, fearless, fabulous. I didn't think much of it. Until our neighbor did. We'd only been in our new place in Ashgrove Hills for 6 months. It's one of those meticulously trimmed, supposedly peaceful neighborhoods where people wave but don't really talk. We thought it would be a nice step up. Quiet. Safe. The kind of place where nothing much happens except lawn envy and HOA emails about trash cans being out too early. Our neighbor across the street, Miss Clarissa Mayfield, looked straight out of a Norman Rockwell painting 60s, stiff blonde curls, pastel cardigans, and a front yard that looked like it had been photoshopped. She was always out pruning something or polishing those creepy little ceramic animals on her porch. Clarissa didn't seem like trouble at first, just nosy. But the pink Tesla? That changed everything. The first time she saw it parked out front garage was getting repaired, so we had no choice. She froze at her window like she'd just spotted a UFO. I remember grilling in the backyard and catching a glimpse of her behind her curtains, scribbling in a little notebook and mouthing to herself. I called Jordan out, and we just stood there, both a little creeped out. We laughed it off, like you do when something's weird but not quite dangerous. Yet, the next morning, there was a note under the windshield. Neat cursive. Something about how the car clashed with the neighborhood aesthetic and might lower property values. Whatever. We ignored it. The second note wasn't as polite. The third was downright hostile. She started citing ordinances we'd never heard of, referencing bylaws from a homeowners association that, as far as we knew, didn't even exist. Then came the early morning encounter. I walked out at dawn to grab something from the trunk, and there she was crouched beside the Tesla, running her hand along the side panel like it was some sort of sacred relic. I startled her, but only for a second. Then she looked up, smiled this weird, glazed-over smile and said, "Such beautiful craftsmanship. Did you know this shade requires a custom 7-layer paint process?" I called the dealership pretending to be Jordan and got the exact code. I froze. Who says that? Who does that? That should have been the moment I called the cops. But instead I stood there, trying to process how deep this obsession was. I told her to back off. Her face shifted instantly from dreamy admiration to icy calculation. "Of course, Elijah," she said. "Just appreciating fine things. Not everyone does." After that, things spiraled. I installed cameras, told Jordan it was for general home safety, left out the part about Clarissa's midnight strolls around our car, her whispering to the windows, the measuring tape she used like she was planning a heist. One night, she even tried the handles. I watched it live on my phone. That was when the pit in my stomach stopped going away. We started digging. Found a neighbor who'd lived there longer, old Mr. Givens, 2 doors down. Over coffee and cautious conversation, he told us she'd pulled the same act with a family that lived there before us. Started with a bike, escalated to photos, then break-ins. The family moved across town after finding their belongings rearranged, nothing stolen, just tampered with. That was the moment Jordan stopped laughing. Clarissa had history, not just here. We pulled public records, searched old addresses, scanned court filings. It was always the same pattern. Women of color with nice things. Clarissa got fixated. Convoying said they didn't deserve their success. She'd start small notes, complaints, then escalate to full-on harassment. One case involved her breaking into a BMW at 3 a.m., dressed in the owner's gym sweater. She started the car. Police said she might have tried to drive off if she hadn't been caught, and they let her off with probation. I should have been more afraid than angry, but the truth is, I was both. And then we found her blog. That damn blog. She wrote under an alias, Rightful Ownership. A mix of pseudo-philosophy and social justice word salad, all twisted into a justification for stealing from people like Jordan. Posts about how some people are cosmic borrowers, how possessions were misallocated by a broken system. She had dozens of entries, all about our Tesla, our routines, our shopping habits, even Jordan's work hours, photos of our house, diagrams of the street, security vulnerabilities. She wasn't fantasizing. She was planning. The last post said it plainly. Tomorrow night the pink prize will be where it belongs. I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I called the local PD's non-emergency line, praying someone would take me seriously. Officer Celeste Huang showed up young, skeptical at first, but once I laid out the blog entries, the footage, the court records, her expression changed. She said she'd seen stalking cases before, but this one felt different. Methodical, calculated, racially motivated. She promised to put in a special watch and coordinate with a task force handling similar cases. I told Jordan everything that night. No more shielding her. She sat on the couch, quiet for a long time. Then she looked me dead in the eye and said, "This isn't just about the car, is it? She thinks I don't deserve it. Because I'm black." That night, we made a plan. We moved the Tesla across town to a friend's garage, parked an old beat-up Toyota in its place, changed up our routines, took different routes. But Clarissa caught on quick. Her blog updated. The target is attempting evasion tactics. Adjusting strategy. At 10:47 p.m., she emerged. Black clothing, backpack, toolkit. I watched from the window while Jordan monitored the cameras. She scouted the street first, checking for police. She circled the decoy car, realized it wasn't the Tesla, then turned, and walked straight to her front door. Knocked once, then again. Harder. "I know you're in there, Jordan," she called. "You can't hide from what's coming." Jordan called 911 while I grabbed the bat. Through the peephole, I saw Clarissa, and the lockpick set in her hand. She started working the lock, talking to us, whispering, then shouting. "I worked 30 years. Watch people like you get everything handed to them. You think you're entitled? You haven't earned a damn thing." Then click. She opened our door and stepped in like it was her house. Calm, steady, delusional. "Where's Jordan?" she said. "We need to talk." The rage on her face when Jordan appeared upstairs armed with our kitchen knife was pure fire. "Get out of my house, or I will defend my family." Clarissa took a step forward, raised a bottle pepper spray, industrial strength. That's when the door burst open again. SWAT team. Officer Huang among them. They tackled her before she could react. But even in cuffs, she was spitting venom. "They threatened me," she screamed. "They stole from me. They don't belong here." Her backpack contained rope, duct tape, a sedative. And that was just the beginning. Police found a storage unit registered under a fake name. Inside? Files. Not just on us, but on 40 Song families across 7 states. Detailed profiles, photos, personal data, financial records. Her network, yes, network had been at this for over a decade. Identity theft, breaking and entering, surveillance. And the worst part? She wasn't working alone. Turns out Clarissa was a scout, one piece of a larger group that targeted women of color with high-value assets. A network of resentment-fueled extremists who believed they were restoring balance by stealing lives. FBI joined in. They found encrypted chats, GPS logs, even reassignment schedules detailing how they would assume identities, liquidate assets, and disappear. Her partners, a tech guy named Kellen Blake and a woman named Fiona Cross, were already en route to our town when she got arrested. The Bureau proposed a plan. Use us as bait. Fake routines. Dummy cars. Surveillance everywhere. And it worked. Sort of. Kellen showed up dressed as a repairman. Fiona pulled up in a pink Tesla identical to Jordan's, down to the license plate frame. They thought they were slick, but they missed the agents disguised as joggers, the unmarked SUVs. The whole neighborhood was wired. They were arrested, but it was a setup. While the FBI was tied up with us, other members hit targets in 3 other states. One couple was rescued. Another disappeared. A third, a pediatrician, and her husband were found barely alive. He didn't make it. Clarissa finally broke. With her empire falling, she confessed everything. Names, locations, the ideology, the hatred, the envy. It was all rooted in the same delusion, that black success is somehow illegitimate, that justice means taking what you don't have because you believe others shouldn't. Jordan and I testified. We moved out, eventually. Too many memories. Too many nights of looking over our shoulders. The Tesla's gone, replaced by a sensible, gray sedan. But we keep a photo of it framed, not as a trophy, but as a reminder. A reminder that boldness, that levying out loud, comes with risk. That racism isn't always loud or obvious. Sometimes it's quiet, polite, until it isn't. Clarissa and her network are all in prison now. Some for life. Others fled the country, but the task force is still hunting. Meanwhile, we're rebuilding emotionally, spiritually, and as a community. People often ask if I regret not calling the cops sooner. Maybe. But what I don't regret is documenting everything, trusting my gut, and not letting fear shut us down. Because this wasn't just a story about a pink car or a crazy neighbor. It was a story about what happens when we mistake obsession for eccentricity, when we downplay racism until it kicks in your front door. And most of all, what happens when you survive it. So yeah, go ahead and tell me what you think. Should we have moved sooner? Fought back differently? Is justice ever really enough? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear them. Because stories like this, they're not just meant to be heard. They're meant to be felt and remembered.